welcome to a little segment I like to call Bumps and Bends. Hey guys, here we go for another round of Bumps and Bends. This time we're at Sebring International Raceway. This is the club circuit, the tiny little one. I think it suits this car down to a T. There's bumps, there's bends, there's tyre management, there's brake bias management. It's awesome. Now, I'm going to show you a quick lap. I've finally got. We'll get Jim off before we do. I finally got down to a 58.7. The fast guys are qualifying in the 58.4s, but it's really hard. These guys are on another level to me anyway. My skill set isn't that good, but I found once I was in a flow, a 58.7 was reachable, and I reckon I did all right. So let's have a look at the lap first, and then we'll go through corner by corner. Let's do this. They really got to throw it towards the inside apex, carry as much speed as possible. Try and use this as a straight, pull it right out. Once again, throwing a lot of speed. Pull it right in here. Nice flat apex there. You can eat. Really focus on exits for here. I hate this corner, but really got on the inside, find the best traction. And now we've got the dragway. It's really important here to focus on the rev limiter. And brake as late as possible. Try and get as deep as possible. Focus on a nice straight exit. And that is a lap of Sebring Club. It's quick. It's very quick. There's not much in it, time-wise, but there's a hell of a lot track-wise. So we'll go back. I'll have a look at just over at the top of the car. So coming up to turn 1, I'm using the number 3 cone as a brake marker. I've got my brake bias down to 53.1. I had it at 53.8. But I found there's a little more left on the table as far as the late braking. There's a lot of straight late braking, which means you can wind the brake bias a little bit further back and not have to worry as much about locking the rear tyres. So yeah, number 3, I'm trying to brake as late as possible. That's my reference, but as soon as I get to this part of the track, I'm not looking at my brake reference anymore. I'm trying to focus on really hugging this apex. So we're right on it. Nice straight braking into 3rd. And then really try and hit this, but don't hit it, if that makes sense. Try and get as close as you can. Really wrap the car around the apex. It's quite steep. And if you ride it too much, it's just going to throw you wide, and it's really going to affect your exit out of the corner. Your exit is seriously important here. So throw it around, focus on that exit, try and straight line this section, basically ignore it. Now this is a whole bunch of bends, but think of it as a straight and try to minimize the length of the track. I'm hugging it in there, but then I'm focusing on here to straight line it. If you go out and then cut, you're actually lengthening the circuit quite a bit. Now at this point, I've totally forgotten about this part of the track. My focus is on really getting the car into the right position around here, just so you can throw it into the following corner. So going right out, get that nice braking into 3rd, and I'm finding just braking a tad earlier really helps with the flow of the car. And then once again, focus on exit, use all of the exit. And here is probably the most abusable corner on the track. You can really, I'm braking straight once again into 2nd, and then trying to really ride that curb. When you're braking late, it's quite hard to hit the curb. And once you go over the bump, it's going to throw you wide. So once you get the timing right, really focus on half throttle exit until you can feel the car stabilize and then punch it. Really get on it. Use all of this part of the circuit, maximizing momentum here. And then I hate this corner, but what I really want to do is I'm using this part of the track to set up the following corner. So this ripple strip here is my turning point into the following corner, and I want to get as close to that as possible without touching the dirt itself. So just really trying to get out there and then throw it in. It's all about timing. If you throw it in too early, you're going to hit this corner and it's going to really compromise your exit. Throw it in too late and it just destroys the corner and you've lost your momentum because you're trying to gather it up. You can touch it a little bit, but then focus on traction, and you can see the inherent understeer over the bumps. I'm just trying to ride this part of the track as much as possible, as close as possible to the dirt without touching the dirt. If you touch the dirt, there's quite a few bumps in the dirt and it really affects your acceleration. So there's two stages to this ripple strip. There's the raised one and then it flattens out. I'm using the last part of the raised section to almost like a skateboard ramp to just guide it back onto the track. And then straight lining. Now you don't want to go over here. You're just lengthening the circuit, minimize the track length, hold it in tight. If you go here, there's way too many bumps, but try and get close. Now this section here, I was watching a race earlier and the really, really fast guys are braking at the number 2 cone. I'm finding, especially how bumpy it is, it's really, really aggressive. The later you brake, the wider you are, and the less you can really cut the corner once the car starts to stabilize, because you're focusing on traction out of the corner, halfway through the corner, right at the apex, actually a little bit earlier. So we'll have a look at this. Braking at the number 3 marker. Once again, nice straight braking, and then just trying to throw it in. Now I'm using a trick that I've learned in the skip barber is to use, I was using the tire. As I'm throwing a car into the corner, I'm actually looking right towards the tire. But what I've learned in the skippies is using the center of the nose as the guiding line. And you look at the distance between the two, you're actually bringing the car a lot further into the corner and you're hitting more of an apex. And you find that sweet spot, you can really get that car in. Once again, a couple little bumps that help throw the car around. You can use a tiny bit of dirt, but like I said, I'm already trying to get out of the corner and I'm only halfway through it right at this point. I'm trying to really get onto that throttle as early as possible without wheel spin and without getting loose. At this point, whole bunch of bends there, totally ignore them, just straight line the track, minimize the length once again, and look for that straight line. Just straight line it, go straight across, and you'll make up almost 1/10 of a second by minimizing that track length as opposed to going with the flow of the track. Once again, minimizing the track length and bring her home. Once again, really trying to minimize the length. I keep saying it, but it makes a massive difference, sorry. And that is finish line here. So you can't even see the finish line. There is no marker for the finish line. You'll just get a change in your delta. Just wanted to show you as well, little observation that I had in the race that I watched. Be really careful, especially here. I'm going out wide to cut as early as possible. But when you're in a racing situation, like I said, I'm braking a little bit earlier to get that most beneficial exit. But you're going to have blokes here, and they're going to outbrake you. Just be really careful coming in here. When they brake a little bit later, they're going to end up right in front of you as you cut the car in. And it's going to be carnage. It is going to be carnage. The race that I watched was carnage. Half the field went out at the start of the race. Now this is the start here. We have a look at the leader here, but then have a look at this schmozzle. They're trying to go 4 wide into turn 1, and then they fall over each other. Still 3 wide in parts of the corner. The tyres are cold, and it's chaos. And then once we got further around the track, these guys damaged, and then there's an accident further around the track. I didn't record it, but at each corner there was an accident because these guys who were damaged were still driving. And once they went to take the corner, the car just spun right in front of another car, and those guys were out. So that was half the field out on lap 1. Just be careful. You will find times wise that the car will get faster, and you'll find a nice groove mid race. It's 11 laps, and that was done on my 11th lap. The fastest guy did a 58.0. So for my skill set, I'm quite happy with that. And in my first run, I did a 58.9 quali, which is only half a second off the fastest guys. So I think that just about does it. Let me know what you think, guys. I'm really looking forward to the Formula Sprint this week. Fixed setup, 10-minute race, perfect recipe for some great racing. Or you can change as a brake bias. So play around with that, have some practice, have a lot of fun. See you on track. See you next time. Bye.